Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're unpacking a real-world corporate saga that didn't unfold in a boardroom, but right there on the factory floor.
Mm-hmm.
This is the story of PepsiCo's acquisition of Duke & Sons, where the real merger wasn't just about brands or, balance sheets, but about emotions, culture, and trust. You'll hear how a global multinational managed to walk into a tightly knit, old-school factory in Mumbai.
A really iconic place.
Exactly, and walk out with the workers still clapping, which is pretty amazing.
It's a remarkable case study, definitely. Especially when you think about the strategic business reasons behind PepsiCo's move.
Yeah.
Duke & Sons was, well, a beloved local soft drink company in Western India. Everyone knew Mangola, raspberry, ice cream soda.
Oh, yeah. Classics.
Total classics. So this acquisition, back in the mid-90s, it was clearly about expanding PepsiCo's portfolio, grabbing market share.
Makes sense.
But what's really insightful here, I think, is how PepsiCo got that nose. That the real battle wasn't just for that market share. It was for the hearts and minds of the workforce. It presented this huge human resource management challenge, specifically around, industrial relations, union negotiations, right there at Duke's Mumbai facility.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that fear, the powerful trade unions, chai breaks, intense negotiations.
Real on-the-ground stuff.
Totally. And how PepsiCo ultimately learned that, well, Excel sheets don't win, Hearts actions do.
That's the core lesson, isn't it?
It really is. And yes, there's a voluntary retirement scheme, a VRS involved that surprisingly didn't end in drama.
Which is rare, very rare for VRS.
So how? We'll dig into that. From town hall diplomacy to incredibly street-smart HR, this deep dive covers it all, zero jargon, just good old corporate reality checks.
Okay, so to really grasp the scale of this challenge, we need to picture these two vastly different worlds trying to merge.
Right.
Duke & Sons, founded way back in 1889.
Yeah.
Wasn't just a beverage company.
No, it was part of the city fabric.
Exactly. Woven into Mumbai's working class. The factory had this very paternalistic management style.
Right. Old school.
Very old school. Yeah. Fostering deep worker loyalty, informal HR practices, but, consistent ones. And their trade union. Powerful. Highly influential.
And probably very suspicious of a multinational takeover.
Incredibly wary, you can imagine.
Okay, so that's Duke's. And then on the other side,
you had PepsiCo India, entered the market in '89, expanding fast. Their culture. Performance-driven, highly structured global HR systems. Standardization, productivity, formal processes.
Polar opposites almost.
Pretty much. Looking at those two, it's easy to see the huge potential for a massive cultural clash.
Yeah, you can see it coming a mile off.
Indeed. Now, the strategic logic for PepsiCo buying Duke, crystal clear. Expand the products, get deep local market penetration.
Leverage the brands.
Right, leverage those strong regional brands, tap into the existing distribution. It all made business sense on paper. But right from the start, HR integration was flagged. High-risk area. By local teams, by global teams.
Okay.
Which really highlights, doesn't it, that even the best business cases can just fall apart if you don't handle the people side carefully.
So given these stark cultural differences and Duke's history, what were the specific HR challenges that immediately jumped out at PepsiCo's team? Any particular, red flags they saw right away?
Oh, definitely. The number one red flag was resistance from that militant trade union.
Right. Fear of job cuts.
Exactly. Widespread fear. Then there was just the sheer size of that cultural clash. We talked about Duke's informal ways versus PepsiCo's structured systems. This created sort of an inherent low trust towards management just because PepsiCo was this big multinational.
The big bad corporation image.
Kind of, yeah. And beyond that, the very real threat of operational disruption, strikes, go slows, stuff that could cripple production. And of course, crucially, they absolutely needed to keep the key plant workers, the ones with that deep, invaluable process knowledge. You lose them, you lose a lot.
That paints a vivid picture, like a wall of fear almost.
Yeah.
So how did the actual Duke employees feel about this initially? Was it all negative or?
Mostly, yeah. Most workers felt this deep sense of betrayal almost and intense anxiety.
Understandable.
The union immediately framed it as Americanization, a loss of worker identity. That's powerful emotional language.
Very.
Rumors flew, layoffs, plant closures, morale just plummeted. Extreme suspicion, fear. It wasn't just business for them, it felt existential.
Wow.
It really just underscores how profoundly personal and emotional these corporate acquisitions can be for the people on the ground.
Yeah.
Far beyond the, legal and financial bits.
So faced with this wall of fear, what did PepsiCo do differently? Because, like you said, the standard corporate playbook probably wouldn't have cut it here.
You're absolutely right. They knew a traditional top-down HR approach would just spectacularly backfire.
So what was the first move?
Their first critical move was interesting. They paused operational integration.
Paused it.
Completely.
Yeah, not just a delay. It was a conscious strategic pause. An investment in human connection, really.
Okay.
It kind of proves that in M&A, sometimes the most productive thing is to hit pause on the processes and just focus on the people first.
Right. Build the foundation.
Exactly. Instead of pushing policy changes, they set up this cross-functional HR response team. Had industrial relations specialists, external consultants, even cultural integration experts.
Covering all bases.
And their core strategy. Brilliant, really. Build trust first. Implement systems later?
Trust first. Okay, that makes sense. But how do you actually do that, especially when the skepticism is so high?
Well, the initial union skepticism was immense. Overcoming that took sustained effort.
I bet.
A really insightful part was how they engaged with the trade union. PepsiCo leadership met them multiple times. Priority number one, transparency.
Just lay it all out. Pretty much. They made very specific, tangible commitments. Things like no immediate layoffs, a promise to invest in upgrading the plant, respect for Duke's legacy, and, crucially, continued recognition of the existing union structure. They weren't trying to break it.
It's huge.
Massive. They even brought in a neutral third-party negotiator, someone respected by both sides, to facilitate the talks.
Wow.
This wasn't just, lip service. These were concrete actions. And slowly, gradually, they started to chip away at that distrust.
And what about communicating with the individual workers? Beyond the union meetings.
They went all in there, too. Launched regular town halls, held one-on-one sessions.
Time-consuming, but necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they even organized family meetings, a very personal touch.
Family meetings. That's unusual.
It showed they understood the community aspect. And leaders made a real point of speaking in local languages.
Smart move. Makes a huge difference.
Incredible difference. Builds connection. Shows respect. They use storytelling, too, sharing examples of how PepsiCo had empowered workers in other acquisitions globally.
Trying to change the narrative.
Exactly. And very cleverly, HR identified these informal champions within Duke's own workforce.
Like natural leaders.
Right. And leveraged them to influence their peers, spread accurate info, showed a real understanding of the internal social dynamics.
This really does drive home that idea. Emotional trust comes before system adoption. What other tangible things did they do beyond just talking?
Well, they let informal practices continue for a while, side by side, with maybe starting to introduce things slowly.
Okay, so no sudden shock.
No sudden shock. They temporarily kept existing Duke HR people on board, which signaled respect for their past. They also publicly celebrated Duke's Founder Day.
A symbolic gesture.
A really significant one, yeah, with PepsiCo leaders visibly present. And critically, they offered upskilling and training without immediately forcing the new systems.
Let people get comfortable first.
Exactly. Yeah. Let workers adapt gradually, see the benefit of new skills without feeling pressured or threatened. These weren't just, nice-to-haves. They were deliberate steps to de-risk the whole thing, build psychological safety.
That's fascinating on the cultural integration front, too. Not just imposing PepsiCo's way, but something else.
Precisely. Instead of a corporate dictate, the HR team actually mapped out the cultural values of both companies.
Okay.
Identified where they overlapped, where they diverged, and then a hybrid culture was slowly, carefully co-created.
Co-created.
Through things like shared rituals, mixing teams up, symbolic stuff like co-branded uniforms, shared lunch areas.
Little things that add up.
Exactly. It was about adoption, not acquisition in the cultural sense. Recognizing that the best way to merge cultures is often to find common ground and build something new together, rather than just one swallowing the other.
Okay, let's talk job security again. You mentioned the VRS, the voluntary retirement scheme. How did they handle that potentially explosive issue?
They tackled it head on. That initial commitment, 0 layoffs for 18 months post-acquisition.
That must have calmed a lot of nerves.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It addressed the biggest, most pressing fear right out of the gate. Then later, when the VRS was eventually offered, It came with genuinely attractive terms.
Not just the bare minimum.
No, far from it. Workers got clear, dignifying options. Stay and train for new roles within the modernized setup, or exit with a substantial package, and importantly, dignity.
Dignity is key there.
Absolutely. The company even chipped in with reemployment support services for those who took the VRS.
That's incredible. We hear so many horror stories about VRS schemes ending badly. Protests, lawsuits.
Right.
To manage it with such dignity, it really challenges that typical corporate versus worker narrative, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's a powerful reminder that HR isn't just policies. It's about anticipating human responses, respecting fundamental needs, even during tough business decisions.
And beyond the VRS, they also invested heavily in training and reskilling, you mentioned.
Yes, another cornerstone. They rolled out comprehensive technical and soft skills programs.
What kind of skills?
Focused on crucial, practical areas. Hygiene standards, productivity techniques, getting comfortable with digital tools.
Things needed for the modernized plant.
Exactly. And to make it work, they paired local trainers with PepsiCo experts. Reduced that perceived hierarchy, made it more relevant immediately.
Smart.
Workers who finished certifications got public recognition, rewards. It wasn't just about making them PepsiCo employees. It was about genuinely empowering them with new skills, a clear investment in their future.
Okay, so training, culture, trust. What about finally bringing in those formal PepsiCo systems? That must have been tricky after Duke's informal ways.
It was handled with incredible sensitivity. Strategic sequencing was key.
Meaning?
Instead of a sudden, overwhelming policy dump.
Which never works.
Right. They introduced one system at a time. Started with something relatively non-threatening, something with clear benefits, like digitizing payroll.
Okay, easy win first.
Kind of. Then things like attendance systems. They were co-designed with floor supervisors.
Getting input from the ground up.
Exactly. Ensures it's practical, gets buy-in. And crucially, the union was actively consulted when drafting new policies.
So they felt part of the process.
Which ensured their understanding and support, making implementation much smoother. This gradual, collaborative approach was just key to embedding new systems without triggering that resistance reflex.
So the big question, did it all work? Beyond the good feelings, what were the tangible results? Did it translate into measurable business outcomes?
Absolutely. And PepsiCo tracked it meticulously. Critical metrics like absenteeism, grievances filed, strike incidents.
The hard data?
The hard data. Within just 1 year, absenteeism dropped noticeably. Training completion rates soared. Production quality measurably improved.
Wow.
And they did a joint employee satisfaction survey. Showed growing alignment between the two workforces. Real integration happening at a deeper level.
So the key HR outcomes sound genuinely remarkable then. A rare success story.
Truly. Think about it. A smooth transition with 0 strikes.
Almost unheard of.
Especially in that context. Over 80% of the Duke workforce stayed on, got successfully reskilled. Plant productivity improved. And maybe most impressive, genuine union cooperation in plant modernization efforts.
They got the union on board with change.
Which is huge. This success was so significant, it actually led to the creation of a formal PepsiCo Duke integration model.
A blueprint.
Yeah, a blueprint they then used for later acquisitions in India. It became their template for human-centered M&A.
Okay, if we unpack all this, there are some really powerful, enduring lessons here for HR, for anyone involved in mergers or acquisitions.
Definitely.
First, worker identity. It matters just as much, maybe even more, than the legal contract.
Absolutely, it's personal.
Second, culture. You just can't impose it. It has to be co-created somehow.
Yeah, nurtured, not dictated.
Third, transparency, patience, genuine respect. They win out over power tactics every single time.
That might take longer, but the results stick.
And crucially, that point about emotional trust always preceding system adoption. You need the trust first.
Non-negotiable, really.
And finally, this case just powerfully shows that local voices, local understanding, it has to shape the global strategies, not the other way around.
Spot on. The Duke PepsiCo case really demonstrates that HR isn't just a support function in M&A. It's a core strategic tool for sustainable, successful integration. Winning minds, yeah, that requires logic. But winning hearts, that needs humility, empathy, and a deep grasp of these fundamental human factors.
PepsiCo didn't just acquire a company, did they? It sounds like they adopted a community.
That's a great way to put it.
And that ultimately made all the difference. Proving the real merger happens on the ground, brick by brick, handshake by handshake, long after the lawyers have left the room.
Yeah.
This story just reminds us that even in the most complex corporate maneuvers, treating people with respect, understanding their fears, it can turn potential drama into a resounding success. Perhaps the real deal in any acquisition isn't just signed on paper, but built on trust, day by day. What community are you adopting next? See you on the next deep dive.